Welcome everyone to Woodlawn's Back to School Night. We're so glad that you can be part of this segment to watch, to hear a little bit more about what's going on. We want you to know that things are a little different, but we're still focused on instruction and the well-being of each student. We're going to continue to communicate with you. Teachers will be using Remind to get you messages from their classroom. From the office and from Miss Mary, we'll be using School Messenger. And then possibly later in the year, you'll be getting messages through Seesaw. We'll continue with our weekly newsletter, although we're trying to move to be digital. So I hope that you had the opportunity to fill out the form if you want to continue to get the newsletter in paper. But we want to move to digital because there are so many links and bits of information that are coming in electronically that we're not able to put in a paper newsletter. So tonight's back to school plan. Hopefully you were able to access the menu for tonight. Each teacher and specialist has a link that you'll be able to use on Zoom to connect with them. You'll have an opportunity to hear from your classroom teacher. You might even have a chance, if you have time, to go to the math teacher's presentation. Remember that math teacher is also a homeroom teacher, so part of what they'll talk about is what they do in their homeroom, but they'll also focus on their subject area. You'll be able to check in with supports and specialists. You can come to a Q&A with me at 5:30 tonight. And if you have questions, you can ask them. I'll try to get answers. And if I don't have the answers, I will get back to you. We'll be taking notes on what those questions are and post the Q&A after the session. The sessions with the teachers and specialists begin at 6 o'clock, and they will repeat 2 more times. It'll happen again at 6:30 and then at 7 o'clock. Okay, important things. Woodlawn's a Title I school, and our Title I qualification is based on the percentage of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. So with a Title I designation, we get extra supports, and those supports come in the form of money and manpower. Our budget is used to increase our staff. It's also used for purchasing power to support Tier 2 and Tier 3 instruction. We have a school continuous improvement plan that we're focused on. We are working specifically on supporting students in Tier 2, and we're also continuing to work on the mental health aspect of students through our social emotional learning. One of the ways we've gathered test information on students that helps us to better guide our instruction is using the MAP assessment. We used the MAP in March. And so some students who were at home took it, but the students that were here for hybrid also took it. So there are some gaps in that data. We also developed what we call our rocks, and those are the very specific skills that students need to start the school year to be successful in that grade. Teachers are spending a lot of time right now reinforcing those rocks at each grade level. I also wanted to call your attention to some of the data from our successful school survey from last spring. It's done by Panorama, and so you might see it sometimes listed as Panorama Student Data or Successful School Survey. It was given to all 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and we had 91 students participate in that in our upper grades. And here are some of the results from that I thought you'd like to hear about. 83% of our students feel like the energy at school is positive. 91% of students feel supported by at least one adult at school. 77% of students reported feeling like they belong to our school community. Those 3 things are very important to us. We are trying to work with each student and make connections and help them feel engaged in what's going on. And that's where our work comes in. Online student engagement was at 59%, and we want to make sure that the engagement for in-person learning is much higher than that. We are so thankful for our parent volunteers. It's been tricky to get volunteers cleared, but we are getting it done and it's working. And we have needed parent volunteers more than ever to begin this year. Our parents volunteers are working mostly outside at this time. They've supported the Welcome Back Fair, the clothing swap. We have parents helping outside at lunch each day because we are eating outside and it takes quite a bit of setup and then breakdown after. And then there are members of the PTA that are also maintaining some of the activities that the PTA is focused on. There are a few parents who are working inside and they're completing specific essential tasks, and they're not working with students at this time. So volunteers are not working with students unless they're outside. It's okay to be a visitor at school. However, visitors are to the office only. Start at the front door, ring the doorbell. Someone will communicate with you, and sometimes business can be taken care of right down at the front door, but other times we'll have you come up to the office to have your questions answered or to drop off your paperwork or pick up what you need. Eating has been a hot topic to start the school year, and we wanted to let you know that we are eating outside currently for lunch. There's a picture here for you to look at for that. We're out on the front lawn. The students are in pods, which is a small group of students that they sit within the classroom. So that seating is assigned to a pod. Within that pod, the students are 3 feet apart, and each pod is 6 feet apart. We do have, as I said earlier, parents helping with the setup, the monitoring, and then the breakdown of the outside lunch each day. When we need to move inside due to weather, we still have a seating arrangement that is similar. Students will be 3 feet apart in their pods, and then those pods will be 6 feet apart. We'll have one grade level eating in each space. So it's not like it used to be where we'd have 2 full grade levels sitting in the cafeteria together. It's 1 grade level per space. The other thing that we've done is we've started to offer an outside breakfast opportunity. It's like an early entry opportunity. It starts at 7:45. It's on the north playground. You're welcome to bring your student early if you'd like them to eat breakfast outside. We do make sure that they get to class on time from that point. I know that many of you have lots of questions about COVID-19 and our response to that. I want to thank you for continuing to do your screening at home with your student, asking them each day how they're feeling and if they feel any different than they did the day before. It's very important that you continue reporting symptoms to the office and that you continue to mask, use social distance, and wash and sanitize frequently. We are reinforcing those things at school. We have masks at school. We have the sanitizer at school. We have the option for students to wash their hands as well. And we are supporting students in their distancing. It can be tricky at times, but the teachers are focused on that. I also wanted to reiterate that when it comes to eating with masks off, we have students sitting in assigned pods. We know who is sitting together. We know where they're sitting. And that assigned seating, both inside and outside and in the classrooms, will be helpful for us if we need to do any contact tracing. We appreciate your patience and we thank you for it as we follow the protocols outlined by PPS. And you can find all of those protocols on the PPS website. As you may have read from Portland Public Schools, there will be notification to the community and the class if there is a positive COVID test on a student or a staff member. At this time, thankfully, that hasn't happened at school. That's why you haven't received notification at the community level or at the class level. Additionally, there is a protocol for informing close contacts should we have a positive case at school. I'll be able to answer some more questions during the Q&A tonight, but I would say that there is a protocol and it's just much easier if there's a positive case. The protocol is very clear, but when it's close contacts or when there are other situations, each one is unique and there fits into the protocol in different ways. And so it's hard to talk about them because it's scenario based. All right. Well, all of the sessions for tonight, for back to school night, are through Zoom. It would help if you take a moment to make sure you have the Zoom app on your device. If you experience difficulty getting into a session between 6 and 7:30, you can drop back in to the principal's Q&A link at any time to get support in logging into those sessions. I'll keep that meeting space open throughout back to school night as well. if you hear something and you have a question about it, you could pop into back into that session. You can also call the main office at 503-916-6282. We hope to have people by the phones throughout back to school night to help support you in getting into sessions. If you would like interpretation in Spanish, you'll connect directly with Nelson Perez, and his phone number is in this PowerPoint. I'm so glad you were able to join us. Thanks for jumping into this to hear a little bit about how things are going at school. I look forward to seeing you at the Q&A session later tonight, and I hope you have a chance to connect with all the adults at school that you need to connect with. Thank you. See you later.